All right, our weather impact alert update here as we come up on 8:30 on this Saturday, January 24th. Thanks for watching, everybody, as we track this storm throughout East Texas. We've got an elongated look here at your forecast. I'm going to cover the radar. Joel's going to be back here in just a minute with a look at the forecast, taking us through Monday and Tuesday morning when the extreme cold warnings go into effect. Temperatures right now, it's all about the story. This is the forecasting, what we'll do here from this point out through the rest of the storm, and it's essentially what we call nowcasting. We're going to look at the temperatures, we're going to look at the precipitation trends, the types of precipitation, and the rates of precipitation. All of that is going to be important when it comes to potential power outages and road conditions and what you'll experience the rest of the day. If you have to head out, please be careful. Please bundle up. Temperatures are down to 27 at Gilmer. Now, when we're looking at radar like this, it's taking into account levels of the atmosphere, and it's applying some fancy math equations to it, and then it interprets what it thinks is happening. There's no way to really know outside of ground truth. So if you're experiencing heavy sleet in part of the area, please let us know about that. If you're getting straight up rain, let us also know about that. It's all important. Ground truth really helps us when it comes to tracking these types of storms. All right, I want to show you, that was sort of the fancy, the interpreted radar. This is just straight up what we call reflectivity. The signal's coming out from Shreveport, it's hitting the precipitation, it's bouncing back, all right? So it's purest form, it's all it's doing. But what we can tell here, looking at Henderson over into parts of, so Rusk County into Panola County, is that these bright areas here are likely some heavier areas of sleet. All right, Henderson, Laneville, Dotson, Carthage. In fact, a little bit earlier today, we had what we call thunder sleet. So we had so much energy in the atmosphere as this one band was setting up between Cushing and Appleby over toward Garrison. And Dennis Sheaf telling me in Cushing he had an inch of rainfall. All right, so we had thunder sleet occurring. It's rare, but it can happen, and it happened here in East Texas earlier today. So that was quite fascinating to look at. And the rates, this is another important part of this, because if it's freezing rain or it's sleeting very hard, one, it can accumulate to the roadways very quickly. So parts of Rusk County into Panola County, the roadways could become slick. If we get heavier rates of freezing rain, that can accumulate on tree branches and on power lines. So that's also important, and that's something that we'll be watching, of course, as we head through the rest of the day. I want to come up here toward Rusk and Alto. It looks like we've got an increased amount of precipitation, perhaps some sleet mixing in with some heavier bands of freezing rain. So that is something we need to keep an eye on. Palestine, this is an interesting, what we do here is we take a product that we typically look at when we're looking for debris in a tornado, but instead it's showing us the size of the precipitation. All right, so this is what we would consider higher reflectivity. So what does that tell us? Likely sleet in the Palestine and Jacksonville area, back up toward Gilmer and Canton. It can also tell us that there may be some snow aloft, and that snow can be melting into sleet pellets or eventually melting into freezing rain as this moisture moves on through here. Notice that it looks like it's shutting off back here. It is not, so please don't think that it is. There is a lot more moisture back toward Waco, west of Dallas, that is headed in our area. Yeah, it might taper a little bit this afternoon, but most likely we're going to be dealing with some type of frozen precipitation, whether it's sleet or freezing rain, well into the afternoon and into tonight. For more on the forecast, let's go over to Joel Robinson in the Weather Center.
Yeah, I just want to show you this map of the winter weather alerts here across the country here. We have a lot of the country under winter storm warnings, so just kind of a combination of sleet, maybe a little bit of snow, and then of course the ice as well. The areas in purple here ranging from East Texas all the way into Middle Tennessee, those are ice storm warnings, and they even go into parts of northern Georgia and into North and South Carolina. So this is a very long track system that we're going to be watching over the course of this weekend. As we take a look at future skycasts, now as Brett mentioned, there will be a little bit of a lull in the action as we head into this afternoon, but we are not done. Temperatures are still going to be below freezing. We'll have maybe some patchy freezing rain, maybe some patchy drizzle, then it all starts up again in a broader coverage as we move into this afternoon and evening. Temperatures still well below freezing, and also got to remember we had a lot of rain last night, so there's a lot of standing water, and as the temperatures begin to drop even further, and the road temperatures kind of catch up to that air temperature as well, we're going to see all the pre-existing standing water kind of freeze on the surfaces. So that on top of the freezing rain and the sleet, that's really just going to cause a wintry mess into the next few days here. And then as we go into Sunday, we have another round of that. Could be pretty heavy at times. We were just talking about thunder sleet. There could be some thunder freezing rain as well. That is known to happen from time to time. So it could be pretty heavy in some parts of the area. And a couple of flurries could be mixing in along and north of I-20, although it's kind of a lower end chance. I think most of the moisture will be out of the area by that time. And then as we head into next week, the big story is going to be the freezing cold, well below freezing, I should say. So what we're kind of watching for here in terms of how we can kind of compare it to a donut is the sprinkled donut. That's going to be your sleet. Those are your little ice pellets. And then as for freezing rain, that's going to be rain that freezes right on contact with the surface. So that gives you a little bit of a glaze. So we're going to be seeing kind of a mixture of a kind of a glazed donut scenario and a sprinkle donut scenario as well. Maybe a little bit of a powdered donut as well, as we introduce maybe a couple of flurries in some parts of the area, although that's not going to be too much of an impact heading into this weekend. Now, even as little as 1/10 of an inch, now I think we could have some areas with a little bit more. That's going to cause a little bit of a glaze there. Coated windshields, isolated power outages, numerous power outages as you get into the point of around 1/4 of an inch. Icy roads, tree limbs sag and break. You also have dangerous travel on the roads. Even as low as 1/4 of an inch, I think could be a couple of areas where we could see at least 1/2 an inch. We have widespread tree damage, dangerous travel on the roads as well, and long-term power outages could be possible as well as the temperatures remain below freezing. So 27 for today. Freezing rain and sleet are going to be the main things here. And then again, as we wear into next week, it's all about the Arctic cold. And then by the time we get to the later parts of next week and into the weekend, should maybe see a little bit of relief in there. Okay, across the area, extreme cold warnings Sunday evening all the way through Tuesday at noon. We're talking about air temperatures in the low teens, maybe even wind chills as low as the single digits below zero. So some very cold temperatures there. But as we continue into this weekend and all the way into next week, as this system wraps up, we're going to be unfreezing, then refreezing, unfreezing and refreezing as we head into next week. So any sort of standing water or anything like that will likely refreeze into the overnight as temperatures go well below freezing. So that's something you'll definitely have to keep an eye on.